Tarot. Um, Glad to have you here, sending out love and light all across the universe, angelic vibes. I haven't been here for a while because I am working full time. So I'm back up on my feet. I'm working. And also because somebody was shadow banning every video I sent and had monetized my site for their own purposes using a fake bank account, I couldn't keep pouring energy into something that wasn't giving energy back. But nonetheless, I feel compelled to help give some of these messages because I think that there's truth that will be revealed, and eclipses are the events that tend to reveal them. So I'm putting out energy early on so people have time to gear up. And I'm really focusing on the eclipses because they are such powerful events. That being said, I'm going to start by saying gratitude to the loving, kind, decent Christians who have been praying for me and helping and working on doing the right thing. I know there are a lot of good people in this group. So thank you. And also gratitude and loving kindness to good Catholics who are helping as well. I truly appreciate it. I think it's time for all of us who are good people, no matter which side of the fence we sit on, to join hands to rebirth a country that we can be proud of once again. So because we are in the process right now, truly, of rebirthing our country, and it's evident in our nation's chart with the eclipses that are forthcoming. That's why I'm focusing on that energy above and beyond all else, so that we can consciously do things. And as I do these readings, please bear in mind, I'm not tailoring them to my own circumstances. I'm not making things up. Astrology is all about reading the energy that's presented. It's like being a map reader, except for you're unraveling a particular story. And of course, the power is in the truth of the story. So any astrologer worth their salt is going to do the best to read the energy as it is, not to make it up, not to jive it, but to just present it as it is. Now, uncannily, I have a sense that that much of this is going to pan out to be true. Why? Just because I've seen it over the years. I have seen it many, many times, especially with eclipse energy. And so it pays to really look at things, pay attention, and see if things are coming to light, right? So anyhow, we're going to focus, and we're a year ahead. So please keep the other eclipse energy that I've given and refer back to it. And I'm going to say the same for this eclipse energy. It's good to know it's coming, right? But the power is to go back to it a month or two before the actual date, re-look at things and see, are you harnessing the energy as well as can be, right? And I just have the sense that things are going to fall into place because I just do. Okay. So this is going to be the March 24th to 25th lunar eclipse in 2024 based on our nation's chart. So I'm probably one of the first ones out with this, right? Because I'm looking so far ahead. And it has so much to do with our legal system because the eclipses are really hitting hard in the 3rd and the 9th house, and also the 4th and the 10th. It seems like the energies are lined up in both of those sectors. So we're going to start by talking about the moon, which during this eclipse will be at 19 degrees and 50 minutes of Virgo. And that is going to be the focal point of the March 24th to 25th, 2024 penumbral eclipse. And that falls into the 9th house of the US's natal chart. Now, the fated message of this moon is that a group effort, and again, I don't make this stuff up, is going to help deliver a spiritual goal. Okay, the 9th house is all about faith and spirituality. Trying to be first, to win, or be on top usually equates to failure. But when we truly grasp the deeper reality of our existence and we work to improve conditions, often we all win. If you bump up to the 20-degree mark, the Mind Fire website that I love so much of Dane Brudier's reinforces the same message. Cooperation results in birthing a new world order. I see good people working together to help birth a better version of our country. When we all row together, the power of our collective consciousness is quite powerful and can help us to change the destiny of our nation. Those who are tapping in know we are on an adventure in growing our consciousness as well as a new country. Now, with the moon so highlighted, expect ninth house issues all to come to light because that's where the moon is sitting. Matters regarding religion, faith, the court system, judges, and higher consciousness will be exposed. Long distance journeys could be taken by powerful women for various reasons, possibly for educational purposes, overseas maybe, or to even study law. Other divine feminines will journey to find gurus who can help them to synthesize everything they have learned spiritually in what some would consider a great adventure of the mind. Whatever the case, full moons are always quite emotional and revelatory. Okay, so we're all on this sacred journey, right? We're all trying to figure out what we need to in this ninth house. We're all on our paths and we're trying to move forward, and the moon is there to light the way. All right. So, amongst other things, the ninth house also rules over attorneys, arbitration, books, ceremonies, churches, clergymen, worldwide contacts, the Supreme Court, foreign countries, life insurance, international commerce, intuition, parents, metaphysics, politics, preaching, prophecies, and publications. With the moon also representing women and families, this could also represent a female attorney or judge sitting in a court of law hearing a very large case. Expect emotions to run high, especially under such difficult circumstances. Okay. Now, what I find very intriguing about this full moon, and you can't make this up, right? That's sitting in the ninth house. She's going to be energetically connected to Black Moon Lilith, a female asteroid who is tapped in psychically and is sitting right next to this very illuminated moon. Now, when working jointly with this full moon energy, there's a tremendous opportunity to create powerful transformation and change. Intuition, subtle energies. You can see all the subtle energies and the vibes all around this woman, right? And astrology opens a portal that can connect to the public, the courts, and to higher consciousness. Sometimes taking the road less traveled can be quite freeing, while providing the opportunity to expand consciousness via truth saying. Lilith is here to reveal those truths. That's what she does as an asteroid. The full moon is going to expose a great deal of what has been going on regarding the courts, matters of faith, corrupt lawyers and judges, and the DOJ. Okay. And again, I don't make this up, I just read it. Okay. This glowing moon will be opposing Venus at 14 degrees, 57 minutes of Pisces. Some female figures, as represented by Venus, will oppose the truths that come out at this time. Likely, they will oppose that which is revealed. Now, Dane Rudger describes this degree point as a lady wrapped in a fox fur stole. So, as is appropriate for Venus, this will likely represent a wealthy, well-dressed, privileged woman. And this is a collective reading. I have no idea which woman of the many this is about, right? But I just get a sense it's going to be about one of them. In astrology, symbology is everything. So it's important to examine things carefully and with caution. Now, foxes often represent femme fatales. This one in particular is cloaked in a fox fur. Okay, now foxes are known for being sly and clever. Seven of Swords kind of energy. I have personally watched foxes out in the wild, so I know. And in truth, they love to steal shiny objects to carry them back to their nests. I have witnessed this. You set something down and they will swoop by, pick it up, and run away. So they can readily shapeshift to fit the circumstances that surround them as they skim through the woods, swiftly gathering objects of desire. The purpose of her cloak is to hide, to shield, to keep something under wraps. And she'd rather not have that seen by the courts. This is where the Seven of Swords energy and the fox fur comes in. So it's all about stealth and secret agendas and manipulation. Foxes are masters of deception. And in this case, it is more than one thing at risk that she may be hiding. Okay. So there's definitely somebody who's got, something that they want. They want it desperately, and they're willing to hide behind a fox fur to get what they want. But they're after it avidly, as you can see. Now, this could be readily about cloaking the indecencies of a corrupt brotherhood. You see, this is the secret society card, possibly even a secret society or a church coven. For the ninth house rules over churches as well. Likewise, it could be about hiding the truth regarding a book that was illegally copyrighted by a doppelganger, another sly fox who is an expert at shapeshifting. And I have all the copies. I could tell you offhand what it's all about. That's my book, and the FBI knows it. Cunning wit and intelligence will be used to subtly protect. You can see she's like shielding herself from anything that she thinks is coming her way, whether that's storms, trials, tribulations, anything of that sort. Now, since this eclipse is a penumbral one, this wealthy female will do her best to cast shadows upon the court, because that's what penumbral eclipses do. Normally the full moon's bright and full, but penumbral, there tends to be shadows of questions around things. She's not only protecting her riches and furs, but possibly a way of life for many. Since this cunning fox is resting on the cusp of the 15-degree mark, I also referred to the Mindfire website for additional interpretations. And here, a direct warning is cast. And this is for all of my detectives, law enforcement, FBI guys. So pay attention, revisit this if you would. Okay? Because again, I'm just simply reading the energy. I'm not making things up. So the message is officers are to gear up and instruct the men working beneath them to prepare for battle. Because of the slyness and cunning afoot, it is necessary for your men to rehearse prior to going to court. This is the message from Dane Rudger. Rudger claims this is particularly important in cases where danger lurks or in which rituals, gotta love it, are used to unleash or evoke power, the dark energy, right? Again, this is straight off of the website. This rehearsal could have to do with court, or as you break your ways into the halls of occultism, where dark spells are constantly being cast. Okay, so you can see the kind of possessed energy that you're up against. And clearly we've learned that spell work has a whole lot to do with lies, cunning, bribery, buying officials, etc. So you're going to be running across a lot of people who are dealing with covens, secret societies, and other organizations that have turned to this witchcraft. And you will be facing the ghosts or possessed souls of unlived lives, people who plan to win or still planning to win at any cost. Now, the fox that you encounter is the tip of the sort of poisonous iceberg. For this malevolent woman is actually trying to cloak an entire cult, a cult based upon gang ties, brotherhood, a certain belief system, lies, and closely held secrets. And I use this card because you can see the tongue snake, or the snake's tongue is out, and this person is going to be speaking with a forked tongue. Okay. And she's got fire and fury behind her. She has merged herself with the serpent, and she feels entitled and entwined to tell these lies to protect a particular brotherhood. These are just the interpretations. So you need to practice before going to court. These societies have international reach and have been operating as an organized crime ring for centuries in our country and other countries around the world. Their influence over political affairs is felt keenly, though often not seen. Now they are being exposed. You really need to prepare, because this is the Seven of Swords energy. Stealth, cunning, manipulations, lies, and cover-ups. And they are hoping to avoid even bigger towers coming. Okay? All right, so Saturn. Well, here they say Saturn is about the truth, but I'll say Saturn is the harsh giver of lessons. And he is going to be opposing this moon, which will make this eclipse very trying emotionally. Domestic problems, that's moon energy, will become highlighted as law enforcement, that's Saturn, begins to shoulder the burden of cleaning up our country. Many of our domestic issues at present are stemming from our corrupted DOJ. Now, those who are getting outed are going to feel resistance from other people. They're going to feel isolated. They're going to feel depressed and possibly emotionally volatile, right? That's moon opposite Saturn. Okay, the emotions are going to be dark and ugly and all mixed up. And a lot of depression and resistance are going to result. Real officers in the line of fire may feel alienated or burdened under the pressure. Facing all of this darkness can take quite an emotional toll, and yet we've all been given a part to play in this unfolding drama of our nation. In my mind, this is truly a battle between darkness and light. And in this instance, the eclipse is going to be shining a light onto all ninth house matters that need to be fixed. Difficulties in partnerships could come to the forefront, especially as corruption gets exposed. Okay, and again, I really encourage you guys that are on this case to revisit this a month or two before this comes around, but this kind of sets the stage for what's coming. And I would say the same thing with the other eclipse things I've done. One, just to see if I'm hitting the marks, right? And two, because I have seen uncannily how these things tend to unfold. Okay, now Saturn will be at 12 degrees of Pisces, and this will be sitting right next to Venus. Okay, so there's also going to be a lot of lessons regarding Venus. Tough lessons in love will cause emotional responses in courts, churches, and occult-driven covens. Dane Rudger's wisdom never ceases to amaze me. And on his Mindfire website, he claims that where Saturn sits, characters will be tested. So will relationships, by the way. Remember, Saturn rules over laws. He rules over institutions, police officers, the government structures, hard work, and time. Rudger claims that this particular lesson giver is going to show up in the sanctuary of an occult brotherhood. Those are his words. Because of the recent setups and venal exposures to their secret society, new initiates will be closely examined to see if their character fits. Initiates will need to prove themselves worthy. If he or she passes the test, they can then be closely controlled by the gang-like group. Members will be asked to hold rigidly to their codes in order to protect the ancient traditions of the mob-like brotherhood. Okay, so if you're a new initiate or an undercover officer, the idea is to cloak yourself and blend so you can pass all of the necessary trials of character which in this case is, are you willing to do anything for money? But no, in the end, you will be an owned man or woman, and the cost of the journey could be your very own soul. And I think some people are already about to find that out. Now, clandestine activities and upheavals are sure to follow in the wake of this eclipse. For the full Virgo moon, who is going to want to expose the truth, will be facing an opposition to Neptune at 27 degrees of Pisces. This nebulous Neptune falls into the nation's third house of communications. Here it can contribute to the collective consciousness, as Carl Jung did, or if harnessed unwisely, this Neptune could simply be used to purposefully muddy the waters, to bring in delusions, illusions with the moon, all kinds of trickery, because Neptune has that, it loves to bring in trickery and delusions and mirror magic spells. Whether we realize it or not, we are all connected, and the thoughts and actions we pour into the universe affects us all. We can use this energy to bring greater meaning to the world and the events that are unfolding, or on a lower vibration, we can allow ourselves to be steeped in the lies and possibly drugs that cloud the mind. Or even with Neptune, it can be illnesses of the mind as well. And I think that's certainly true for some people involved in this. Now, falsehoods, they just cloud the matters of the mind, don't they? Just like the drugs do. They just cloud the truth. So falsehoods could also be widely spread at this time. There's a heavy emphasis on third house matters and Neptune sitting there. And that's being done in order to sway public opinion. The public is represented by the moon. The moon is sitting in the ninth house. So they're trying to sway public opinion in the court system. This could occur via any number of our informational outposts and hubs, social media platforms, TV, and in the press. So expect during this March 2024 eclipse for purposeful clouding of the minds to be an issue you will have to confront. And that's why officers need to prepare and practice in advance of going to the court system. Okay, now all of us are really interested right now in birthing a new country, right? And how we birth that can be very transformative. People think of snakes as always evil and dark energy. That's not always the case. They can be very healing and transformative. It all depends upon the intentions behind and the thing that you are trying to bring into the world, right? If you care about birthing a justice system and courts that run fairly, and about elevating our consciousness, these delusions that are going to be coming forth have to be dealt with head on as they are propagated. And I guarantee you they're coming on that March 24th to 25th eclipse. It's as if collectively we must decide. Do we stand for the truth? And here again, you can see the snake with the tongue out. And this particular person is entwined with the snake and is listening to that forked tongue. And it's causing quite a lot of fire and heat, as you can see. So we have to decide, do we stand for the truth, which is a ninth house issue? Or are we willing to swallow the lies that sly foxes are currently propagating in the third house of communications so they can get their way? So you need to pay attention to what's happening with the news and social media stuff and the forked tongue issue that I see forthcoming. Okay, now all of this feminine lunar energy that will be getting exposed at this time is going to cause unexpected events to unfurl in a major way. I say that because that moon, which is so clearly setting in the house of our legal system, higher education, long journeys in faith, will be getting a boost from Jupiter via a trine. So all of the delusions and things that somebody is trying to promote, like a zombie, is going to be getting a boost of energy, be it good, bad, ugly, or otherwise. And again, it depends on how well our law enforcement officials are prepared when they go into court, because the trine is going to be pouring energy into that. And Jupiter expands anything that it touches. Okay, so Jupiter, again, basically blows up anything it comes into contact with, and it will be riding at 15 degrees of Taurus. And that means that it's going to be impacting everything we value, including our children. Fifth house also rules romantic affairs, even property. Now, Uranus, the bringer of shakeups, sudden events and epiphanies, which is why this card says genius, could help to revolutionize all the matters that Jupiter ignites. So in this case of the Jupiter at 15 degrees of Taurus, the shakeups are going to force people to face head on the very crises they precipitated due to their ardent desire to climb the social ladder. So expect things to get really blown up over fifth house matters. Children, romances, sudden pregnancies, creativity, creative projects, things like that. Okay. Now, this is the failure card. It's hard to get it perfectly balanced here. This fervent desire to gain materially is going to feed straight into the ninth house matters that are so exposed during this eclipse. With Uranus attached to this greed, this bears the blow up feeling of possibly easy come, easy go. This could have to do with great wealth, property, unexpected pregnancies, and or romances that pop up out of the blue. All right. Now, so we have somebody who's, maybe willing to get knocked up and pregnant to get what they want, trying to birth into existence the things that they want. All right. So the sly female fox energy, as shown by Venus in the third house, will also be doing her best to connect to wealth and riches of Taurus by way of a sextile. Just by the fact that she is showing up in the third house where the nebulous Neptune resides tells me she's daydreaming of wealth. Okay. She may also be plotting how to start a sudden romance, a pregnancy, or so that she can lock in all of the greedy goods. Okay. So you can see she's looking everywhere, including in the mirror. How do I get what I want? And if I don't, I'm going to cry me a river here. Okay. And it's all about how do I create enough illusions and delusions in the third house of communications to sway public opinion in the ninth house of courts so I can get the gifts. That's what's going on, or will be going on. I foresee it already. Okay. Although people, okay, let me see if I got all this. Oh, yeah. All right. Although the people involved may think that the strength lies in old partnerships, which is very much a Libra energy, that would not be a good assumption at this time, because the South Node lies in a Libra. That tends to indicate that losses will show up amongst old alliances. You can lean on them, but if you lean on them too hard, they will likely break. Those losses and betrayals will also be quite public, for Libra graces the 10th house of our nation's chart. And that is a super visible place. It's a place where where the whole world can basically peer into what's going on into our country. Although corrupt alliances may feel like a safe haven, it's actually not true, because that South Node is up there, and that South Node can cause those allegiances basically to crash your boat to the point of it needing reconstruction, which basically means your path in life. So when you connect to negative or typical energies, the storm it brings through corrupt alliances can actually destroy your path rather than enhancing it. So something to think about there. And that, of course, can also bring in the dark night of the soul, when you realize the old partnerships you used to be able to rely on are no longer serving you well. Okay. So more strength in this case will be garnered from going on your own power, and that's the North Node in Aries at 16 degrees. And it's encouraging people to strike out on their own and to develop their own roots. And that couldn't be more appropriate because this is all falling into the fourth house of home and your underlying psychological underpinning. So it's like your ground roots from which you were born. And it's necessary at this time to build oneself up from the ground up, rebuilding like you're the captain of your own ship, which is, of course, how it should be. Particular attention should be paid to healing family, wounds, and generational curses. Okay, that's Chiron. And Chiron is the wounded healer. He falls into the fourth house of the nation's home, too. So it's showing right up in our homeland that the need to heal is there on so many levels. Where others have failed you, it's necessary for you to become your own fortress of strength. Healing both our country, our individual families, and our psychological underpinning should take top priority right now. Okay. Now, as a nation, we should be carefully examining the partnerships we foster. Are the organizations we've leaned on in the past steering us well as a nation, or are they causing towers? Are they causing us to crash our own boat in the most public of ways? The entrepreneurial energy that was harnessed to form our homeland is basically up for grabs again. We are all seeking new direction in our country. Can we harness that Martian willpower to make the changes we need to secure our homeland and heal? Or are we going to let those old alliances drag us into the ground? That's a question we really need to answer. Are groups that foment insurrections good partners to foster? Or is it time to get back to basics so that we can create a country that is of the people, for the people, and by the people? Again, look, there's hope amongst the clouds. There's sunlight beaming here. There is the opportunity to rebirth and find new direction if only we harness that energy well. Okay, the sun, our nation's conscious will, is sitting in the house of our homeland too. So really right now it's all about the homeland, homes, families, property, but our nation in general. We are literally being asked to rebirth our nation anew. Christ consciousness or other ascended masters or even your own moral code can operate through all of us to rebirth our nation if we harness the energy well. This is a time to secure not only our nation, but our homes and families too. Now, bear in mind, this is very important, that Aries is ruled by Mars, the god of war. So fiery energy can be met in our homeland through enemies from abroad, from the loud actions of our own people, or from headbutting encounters also with parental figures. So Aries has a lot of fire behind it and a lot of force and potential military action. And so it's really important that we consciously go about the next few years to work together to rebuild our country, lest we fall into warlike conditions, which the god of war is more than happy to bring, right? Okay, now Mercury, which is all about our mind and how we think and communicate, is going to be joining the action in the nation's fourth house. So there's a heavy lineup of planets between the third and fourth houses. So we're not only needing to heal, to determine the sole purpose of our country, but to be strong and forthright in the process. That's Mercury in Aries. Okay, say what you mean and mean what you say. Be direct, be clear, be concise, but be careful with your words, right? We are meant to cut ties with old partnerships that no longer serve. Our mind is on fire with the possibilities during this eclipse. Rather than going off half-cocked with rapid fire thoughts, we need to put our fiery spirits towards forging a country that we can be proud of once again. Okay, you can see all the fiery energy. You can see the new beginning in trying to begin the new beginning right here with this card. The American dream is possible, but we are going to have to fight for it. Now, This is the part I like. Okay. The rights of the 99% are getting trampled upon, and it's time for common men and women to stand up for what we want. Okay, and I like this card because it shows all of these various elements just like burning away and storming and causing havoc. It's not going to be easy for real people to retake our country. And I mean peacefully, I don't mean in warlike fashion, but it is going to be a battle. But if we want a country that represents us, we are going to have to stand up for what we want. And again, I promote peace and activism, not warlike crazy energy. Likewise, it's going to require that we change, reorganize, and possibly even move to get what we want, maybe to new territories. It will also require working across the boundary lines that normally separate us as Americans. Okay, in the last few years, we've had a lot of chaos. This is kind of like the bats in the belfry card, right? There's information flying everywhere. There's a lot of hurry, scurry, and chaos. And our country has been experiencing that for sure. And in the last few years, I've actually watched entire systems of our government fail, from the US Post Office to the DOJ, right, to corrupt political parties on both sides, to the 1% trampling on the rights of the very people that form the backbone of this country and who, in all likelihood, voted their constituents into office. Okay, that's a lot of chaos, friends. And it's time for the people to start communicating the message that this chaos is not working. We need a better system of governance. Okay. We need to get back to basics, which our forefathers would tell you was all about freedom. Okay, so we're going to talk about freedom a little, because our Constitution clearly laid out rights available to all Americans. It states that the government was to derive its power with the consent of us, the governed, right? So they were supposed to get their power from the people. When that fails, and it clearly is failing right now, and becomes a destructive force, then the people have the right to alter or abolish that very government. These are not my words of firebrand revolution that I'm uttering. These are the words of our founding fathers, who knew how easily governments can become corrupted. It's as if we have, allowed monsters to fester, basically, on Capitol Hill. And to the point that they have become vicious. They're attacking their own people. They're not representing their own people. They're taking suitcases of money and actually, basically swallowing the 99% in order to get rich, is what's going on. So we've lost what our founding forefathers gave us. And they said, hey, we're giving you this democracy if you're only wise enough to hang on to it. So they knew it wasn't going to be easy. So I think it's time that we start giving credence to their words, because we know that there are now monsters in the works on both sides, right? And that things have become so corrupted. So it's time for us to take the power back and give it to the people. I also believe that people on both sides of the red-blue fence can agree that we have fallen far off our course. There's nothing wrong in admitting that. The only problem would be is if we wanted to pretend that there were no monsters and it wasn't happening, and we just covered it all up and pretended like everything was normal. That's when the monsters start swallowing things whole, right? Okay, so our DOJ has largely been broken with bribery, lies, and secret societies whose sole purpose seems to be working as gangs to completely undermine justice. We have experienced coups, an invasion of ruthless Russians willing to destroy us, pernicious cheating and corruption in both parties to the point of utter disgustingness, right? So we are bringing our own towers to our own country. It's not the Tories anymore. It's us who are bringing the dark night of the soul to ourselves with a government that has run amok. Add into that, if you come under investigation, hordes of witches and warlocks can now saunter into your home unheeded on the coattails of money-grubbing officials. So, we're ushering in a lot of towers, not only to the country itself, but to individual families and homes. So you can see homes are getting diluted by the corruption. My home was certainly swamped in all directions from both parties by the corruption. And it's all because, they want what they want and they want it at any cost. And once hidden cameras are placed in your home, you can expect your house to be turned into a pay-for-porn hub, or a government-sponsored sex trafficking site as a form of political vigilante-style justice, because somebody large and in charge, or some coven or group or society, didn't get what they wanted, or they didn't get enough of what they wanted, or they were trying to destroy a human being so that they could keep what they had stolen. Okay, so fighting back peacefully is a means of survival, because we have lost our way, we've lost our decency. The challenge is that we must join hands across all sides to fix where we are. Okay, I'm done with the divisions. The divisions are killing us, and structurally they are destroying our country. So we need to be done with the red-blue divide, the spiritual religious chasm, the male-female power struggles that currently are ripping us apart as a nation. But if good people across all of those divides work together consciously, perhaps we can birth a new nation peacefully, and not only survive, but thrive as a nation. We can recreate an American dream that actually works for the majority of the people, but we are going to have to work hard at that through activism and just peacefully demanding change, right? It's a time for us to heal. Again, it's clear by what's happened in the last 6 to 7 years that we've lost our way completely. And this is why we need to heal, because we need to rejuvenate our American spirit. We need to break up relationships and parties that are no longer serving, while joining hands with people who are willing to fight for a better version of America. Okay, we should not be fighting one another. We should harness our collective energy and inspiration that we all have to heal, to fix, to rebirth an American spirit that we can all be proud of. Aries is about the individual, but in this instance, it is individuals who must work together to take charge of our destiny, rather than simply kowtowing to bloated corporations and corrupted officials. We have the light within us. We have the fire within us. We have the Aries power within us to do this, but we must work across boundary lines to create the change we desire. Okay? And if we do so, we have the power to bring in a much more beautiful universe. Okay? So Mars, who rules over all of this Aryan fiery action that's going to be unfolding in our fourth house of home, is sitting at the very beginning of Pisces. So we are meant to commingle, right? We are meant to transform with that power of Pluto. We are meant to work as a community to improve our communities. It's time to close out the karmic cycles, to reap what we have sown. Okay. We are also being encouraged to find our higher power in our own fashion. So we all connect to that higher deity or moral code or whatever in our own unique way. We all want to live the dream, but are we willing to fight for it? Okay. With, again, Pluto moving into Aquarius, the sign of the brotherhood of man, we are being asked to take up the reins of our country and to lead, possibly from the ground up, to transform where we are. America was not born out of laziness. It was born out of Tory-driven corruption and patriots' disgust of their abuses of power. Okay, and we're right back where we were. The corruption and greed encouraged patriots like Samuel Adams, John Hancock, and Paul Revere to join hands to carve out a country that was actually meant for the common American. We have returned full cycle back to where we began. Only now it is ourselves that we have to blame for the pit that we've fallen into. And again, I'm promoting collectively working together peacefully to bring in that transformation. We need to stop with the illusions that everything is working fine and that everybody who's in charge has got it all together and it's working out, because we realize now that we're being fed a bunch of lies, and it's really, they're working for the suitcases of money. They're not working for us anymore. Okay, so it's time to put power back into the hands of the people, stop with the illusions, and to get the country so that it's working for the 99% once again. Our country and our Constitution promised us a country of the people, for the people, and by the people. It did not say of the corrupt politicians, for the corrupt politicians, by the corrupt politicians, right? Nor did it say that corporations should be making billions annually while starving out the average American family from the American dream. So right now we're lost in a sea of dishonesty, filthy amounts of greed, witchcraft spells, and terms without limits that allow all of these illusions and problems to fester. But we have the power to work together. We have the power to fix this peacefully. Aries energy wants us to fight for what's ours, but we need to do so thoughtfully and peacefully with activism. If we're wise and we want to realize our goals, we'll all work together to create a beautiful America that we can all love and feel proud of once again. All right, God bless the USA. God bless good people from all walks of life. And God bless a God of war that we can harness consciously to usher in the change so desperately needed by real people. All right, thank you. And also just know I can't keep posting regularly again because I got a 40-hour-a-week job. And in my family, we do not feed off of other families to get by. So I'm going to be having to spend more time actually working, and I'll do this when I can. The only reason I was invested in doing it at the beginning anyhow was to put good things back into the universe. And of course, we know we have doppelgangers and witches and sly people who want to block every blessing that was coming my way, because it's easier for some people to feed off of others than to actually do their own thing. So, to the people who are going to be in the courts in the next year or so, my encouragement is prepare in advance, be ready, rehearse, watch out for sly foxes and what they're cloaking. Okay, that's wisdom from astrology. Can't make this shit up. All right, love y'all. I feel grateful and blessed, happy to be alive. I feel grateful to have good people at my back. I feel grateful to know that there are good people fighting for a better version of America than where we've been. We have such a beautiful thing here, such a beautiful thing. And we should not let the end of this Pluto cycle destroy us. We should allow it to transform us brilliantly like the sun. All right, peace and blessings.